Kyle thinks Judaism is just Christianity without Jesus. Kyle is wrong. Kyle was told they share the same roots, but what Kyle wasn't told is that Judaism rejected its own roots when it rejected Christ. After the crucifixion, Judaism didn't just stop at disagreement. It rebuilt itself around denial, no longer worshiping the God of Abraham, but the God of not Jesus. St. Paul said it plainly. In their rejection of Christ, God gave them eyes that cannot see and ears that cannot hear. They're not misguided cousins, but a hostile faith, blinded by God to the truth that is Jesus Christ. Christ himself called them out. They loved power, not truth, and they passed down that rebellion through the rabbis, not the prophets. Somehow, in the modern era, Kyle ended up worshiping the very people who hate and killed his Lord, waving their flag, funding their wars, quoting values we supposedly share when we don't even agree on the most basic fundamentals about who God actually is. Kyle thought Judaism and Christianity were just two sides of the same coin. Now Kyle knows, one fulfilled the covenant and the other rejected it. Kyle thinks Judaism is basically Christianity without Christ. Kyle is wrong. Kyle hears it all the time.
Judeo-Christian values. We share the same God. Jews are your elder brothers in the faith, goy.
But Kyle never looked into what Judaism actually teaches. See, modern Judaism is built on a book called the Talmud, not the Old Testament that Kyle knows. It's a 6,000-page compilation of rabbinical writings, debates, rulings, and traditions. It was finished centuries after Christ, and much of it is an attack against Christ and Christianity. For example, in Sanhedrin 43a, Jesus is accused of sorcery, and they say he was justly executed. In Gittin 57a, he's said to be boiling in excrement for all eternity. In Shabbath 104b, his mother, the Virgin Mary, is called a harlot, and goes on to say that Jesus is the bastard son of a Roman soldier. And Jesus isn't the only one who's attacked in the Talmud. The Talmud also teaches about goyim, or anyone who isn't Jewish. That would be you, Kyle. And the Talmud isn't kind to these goyim. In Baba Metzia 114b, it says goyim are animals in human form. Sanhedrin 59a says that if a goy studies Jewish law, he deserves death. Avodah Zarah 26b forbids helping a goy woman in childbirth, even if she might die. And there's a lot more verses like this in the Talmud, some of them so disgusting I would get banned on this app for even reading them. Most modern Jews will dismiss it out of hand, or say that these horrible statements are just debate among antiquated rabbis, but in Hebrew yeshivas, these teachings are still taught today. Kyle thought the Talmud was just another holy book. Now Kyle knows it's the cornerstone of a religion that rejects and hates Christ and despises Christians. Kyle thinks the Jews were kicked out of so many countries in history because all of those countries just have an irrational hatred of Jewish people. Kyle is wrong.
Kyle, we were kicked out of Spain literally just for being Jewish.
Jews really like to say that, but here's what actually happened. During the Islamic conquest of the 8th century, the Jews living in Spain didn't help to defend their country. They betrayed it. In the Spanish city of Toledo, Jews opened the gates to Muslim conquerors. They chose Islam over Christendom because it would give them more power.
Well, you're still wrong about the Talmud, Kyle. It's just Jewish debate. You don't understand it.
Maybe Kyle doesn't, but King Louis IX of France sure did. In the year 1240, when a Jewish convert to Christianity demanded that Jews be put on trial in France for the evil teachings of the Talmud, King Louis held a fair trial and gave Jewish rabbis a chance to defend the Talmud. They couldn't, but he let them try. The Talmud isn't just misunderstood, okay? It's anti-Christ and anti-Kyle.
Okay, well, you still blood libeled us, though.
Oh yeah? How do you explain Saint Simon of Trent? In the year 1475 in Italy, a young Simon disappeared right around the time of the Jewish Passover. His body was later found in a Jewish basement. Multiple confessions from Jews involved were obtained, with no torture. The bishop confirmed it, the Pope reviewed it. Today they call it baseless, even though the evidence says otherwise. Kyle thought the Jews were just victims of random hatred. Now Kyle knows every action has a reaction, and if you're not nice to people, they probably won't be very nice back. Kyle thinks Jews are just a small religious and ethnic minority that are trying to fit in. Kyle is wrong. For most of the last 2,000 years, Jews have lived in something called a diaspora. They're a nation without a homeland, scattered across different countries and foreign empires. They survived by thinking tribally, as a group of people who are distinct from those who are natively living in the countries they currently inhabit. In Judaism, Jews are taught that they're not just a faith, but also a nation, a bloodline, with obligations to one another that transcend borders cultures, governments, and laws no matter where they're found. To them, assimilation is never really in the cards, but infiltration sure is. Over and over, Jewish populations gain influence in their host nation, and then use that influence to pursue their own interests, even when those interests are at direct odds with the nation they're currently living in. And this isn't random, this is how a stateless nation operates. High trust for those in your group, and low trust for anybody outside your group. They act as their own nation even when they're living inside one that already exists. Kyle thought that Jews were just a religious and ethnic minority looking to catch a break. Now Kyle knows they're a foreign nation, and that foreign nation controls Kyle's own nation, very much to Kyle's detriment.